built environment, it's everywhere. It's everywhere we look. It's not just the buildings and the bridges and the roads that we see. It's about our infrastructure as a community and how we communicate and interact with each other. These interactions, they're changing all the time, mainly due to technological advancements, and it's moving really, really quickly, and we need to keep up with the pace of change ahead of us. We don't want to be scared of change, but we certainly need to embrace it. I started Aimis because of the digital changes that were happening to our industry. In 2011, the UK government announced their intention to change the way that they would procure projects using building information modelling. This was later termed as BIM Level 2. Now, during my time with a multinational UK contractor, we were changing the way that we were doing things so that we could adapt to these requirements by the government. However, during the next 5 years, on the lead into implementation, specifications were released by the government to help define what BIM Level 2 actually meant. But this was largely misunderstood by many people involved in our projects, particularly the supply chain. When I was doing my MSc in BIM management course, the knowledge that I was gaining is what drove me to want to help the industry understand BIM and digital construction, but outside of the UK agenda, not just for the publicly procured projects. I wanted people to understand that there was a different approach that could be taken to construction, and it was imperative to take this approach to succeed in a data-driven environment. This was a real opportunity for me to help these businesses who in many cases were lost in the BIM hype, and for many thought it was out of their reach or simply not relevant to them. Many of the early adopters consisted of very large tier 1 contractors and designers who had huge investment budgets available so that they can try to adapt and make change. But I was seeing many members of the supply chain and smaller contractors, they were falling behind the curve as they simply didn't have the same level of resource to be able to change their organisations. And these are the firms that make up the majority of our industry, and it's these firms that we really want to help. The biggest problem with our industry is the way projects are procured. Successful BIM projects are heavily reliant on customer understanding how they can benefit from digital delivery and procuring their teams accordingly. Our industry is highly fragmented, with numerous contractual transactions taking place throughout a multi-tiered supply chain. This in itself creates a very adversarial approach which results in wasted time, effort and wasted expense. And it also encourages a siloed approach as team members of the supply chain attempt to shield themselves from contractual confrontation. Digital construction is happening because there's an overwhelming need to change. Traditional construction methods are wasteful, and as a nation, incomplete and ambiguous information means we're hugely unproductive in the way that we manage and operate our built environment. There have been numerous studies and reports over the years which clearly evidence these issues, and finally we are taking heed and making the transition. Digital construction is driven by a combination of people, process, technology and policy. It is not simply creating some 3D models and looking at them on iPads. People are by far the most important aspect, as they are the ones in control of the project outcomes and they need the right mindset to make it happen. Like anything digital, there needs to be a process to follow, which delivers consistency and quality. Similarly to computer programming, numbers are crunched, commands are executed in a methodological order to deliver consistent results. Technology is an enabler. It allows us to interact with our projects in a clear and concise way, giving us access to the reliable information. And then policy, well, that's the driving force for change, whether it's at a macro or a micro level. For example, our government is the industry's largest client. They have laid out their policy through the BIM Level 2 mandate, whereas organisations, well, they will need to drive internal change through their own policy and make sure that it is driven from the top. My industry experience has spanned across architecture and construction, and I've seen some exciting changes being made. I spent many years working for an architectural practice and played an important role in their transition to BIM between 2009 and 2012, where we were delivering high-end residential projects including One Hyde Park and Bucksmead Bishops Avenue developments, as well as Westminster Magistrates Court. In 2012, I moved on to the country's largest privately owned contractor to be part of their digital engineering team, driving change throughout their organisation. And during my time there, I managed the delivery of BIM across a number of multi-million-pound developments, such as Guy's Hospital and 251 Elephant and Castle. It was during my time with this contractor where I witnessed the huge investment made by their chairman to transform a 5,000-strong workforce. This involved providing all members of staff the hardware, software and training required to develop their digital engineering capability. However, despite the vast sums of money invested, it was evident that this initiative alone was not sufficient to change how projects were delivered. A much bigger problem was looming, that of a behavioural nature, trying to alter the mindsets of construction professionals on live projects against the constant ticking of the project clock. Successful business-wide digital transformations take time. Taking this a step further, the next biggest issue was the capability of the supply chain. With significantly less investment budget available, these hugely important members of the project delivery team were unable to deliver their digital requirements. This issue is also common amongst regional contractors, particularly those with little exposure to central government procured projects. Understanding of BIM varies across the board. For many, there's a misconception that BIM is about creating 3D models for projects, and resulted in a natural progression for CAD managers to learn some 3D software and become BIM managers. The reality of the situation, however, is that 3D models are a collection of containers that hold asset information, and this information grows over the life cycle of the project. Much of this information is the same as design and construction professionals are used to creating traditionally, only now they're doing it in a more structured and reliable way. What we need to do, and what Aimis can help the industry do, is understand the fundamentals of digital progression. BIM brings with it a whole new language, which is confusing for many people. We can unravel the standards and the definitions and put them into context to simplify the transition. For example, the MIDIP, the Master Information Delivery Plan. This is new terminology for the industry, but essentially it's the IRS, or Information Release Schedule, something most pre-BIM professionals will understand. COBE is another vastly misunderstood animal, and it creates confusion across entire projects unnecessarily. Putting COBE into context simply defines it as an asset register, structured in a standardised format. We're not reinventing the wheel here, but rather changing the tyres for enhanced performance. BIM is a process of delivering complete, accurate and unambiguous asset information. It's a smarter, more efficient way of project delivery which reduces waste through a truly collaborative approach, leveraging technology to structure and deliver built asset information. Of course, there are barriers to BIM adoption. Most stem primarily from misunderstandings and in many cases misinformation. I saw it every day working for the main contractor. The new standards, the specifications, all the new terminology. It's confusing. People don't want to know. They don't have time. They have a building to build. This is where it is important to get the right training and education and ensure that it's driven from the top. And by the right training, I mean more than just a few days learning some software. People need practical, continual development so that they can build their competence. Digital transformation costs money, but many look at this as an overhead, a cost to the business, making project delivery more expensive and the risk of not winning projects. This is not a cost, it's an investment, and one which will deliver true value to any company. But it does take time. It's all about building competence, which is an iterative process built up from knowledge through education, skill through the application of knowledge, and experience through skills practice. Once competency is built up, this is when the return on investment can be realised. Don't get me wrong, there are certainly some quick wins to be gained along the way with the right help and advice. Return on investment comes from greater efficiencies, faster drawing and information production, better change management, less RFIs, and getting it right first time. I've recently been involved in a project where the quantity surveyor spent 3 days quantifying precast concrete element types because they just didn't realise that the model could do it for them. I then showed them how to generate the type schedule using the model in literally minutes, which is not only much faster, but more accurate as I eliminated the risk of human error. When you think about these kinds of efficiencies and multiply them across many projects over a number of years, it soon starts to mount up. You can then start lowering your tender costs and make more profit and deliver higher quality information, giving you a very strong competitive advantage. So, what happens if you're not prepared to change? You will continue to deliver projects in a traditional way, which is wasteful and expensive. But, in the meantime, your competitors are getting stronger, faster, more efficient and delivering better value. Aimis is all about connecting people to their built environment. What does that mean? Everything around us is becoming digital. Look, we have smart home technology, building management systems, smart motorways. This requires data to be delivered as we construct our environment, which means it is developed during concept, into design, throughout construction, and then into the operational phases. This is when the end user starts to experience the data output and receives the benefits of that data delivery. Each time we build an asset, whether it's a building or its infrastructure, we need to manage and maintain it to ensure it continues to work properly. meaning that the people can continue to enjoy environmental control, high-speed Wi-Fi, automated motorway notifications. Digital delivery allows more accurate and efficient management services, meaning less likelihood of breakdown and less disruption, allowing everybody to be more productive. And this is how we connect people to their built environment. We provide the means to procure, design, deliver and operate our built environment to allow people to stay connected. Well, the team at Aimis, they're all very experienced professionals, and they can help all members of the construction and operational team to deliver structured data. Much of this is achieved through advisory services. We can connect our clients to their data-driven future through training and education. From a strong foundation of knowledge, we can then walk through all the necessary steps to deliver success, whether this is defining data requirements, modelling assistance, coordination activities, or facilitating a truly collaborative environment. We have the experience, knowledge and know-how to bring understanding to our clients for digital change. By asking the right questions and truly understanding the requirements, we are able to innovate on behalf of our clients. After all, innovation isn't just about futuristic technology, it's about problem solving. We have practical experience from actually working on projects, going to sites and delivering digital construction. We're not just about theory. Have you thought about your digital transformation? Does this apply to your business? Should you make the investments? It's happening. Absolutely you should.